Hi everyone, welcome to a new episode of my podcast Show Me the Magic, where I invite founders, co-founders of incredible online products to share their story, to share also a demo of their product. And my guest today is Marie Martens, live from the beautiful city of Ghent in Belgium. And you are now, Marie, I think, in an iconic building of Ghent, the Winter Circus.
Yeah, I am. Thanks for inviting me, Frederik. I'm in the Winter Circus in Ghent. It's an old renovated circus that is transformed into a startup campus. So a lot of early stage startups have found their new home here. And they also have, some restaurants, bars, gyms. So it became a new hotspot in the city.
Yeah, it's an incredible event space also. You had concerts there and even parties downstairs. And in the basement, there is a room also, I read.
Yeah, there's a club in the basement. So it's really a multifunctional space. Yeah.
Yeah, and if the people watching this video don't know Ghent and the startup scene in Ghent, it's clearly what I would call the epicenter of Belgium for some reason, maybe because of Showpad, Netlog in the past. Is that the way we can explain it?
Yeah, I think Netlog, Showpad were really one of the early successes in Ghent. And from those companies, a lot of new companies were founded. And that just kind of kept on getting bigger. And now with the Winter Circus, it's becoming a bit more visible as well because everyone is actually under one roof. And also, paying it forward, helping out other companies. So it's definitely a growing tech scene in Ghent. Yeah.
What was your personal story on the scene in Belgium with your co-founder Philip? Could you tell me a bit more about your background?
Yeah, I'm born and raised in Belgium, and I met Philip here around 8 years ago. So Philip is Bulgarian. He's my co-founder, but also partner in life. We have 2 kids together. We met, outside of work, but decided to work together a bit later. I have a background in B2B marketing. And Philip is a full stack engineer. He has worked at multiple startups before and actually moved to Belgium to work for Netlog. So that's how he ended up here. And in 2020, we thought like, hey, what if we can build something together? Just with the ambition to have a sustainable lifestyle business and to be able to pay the bills. Could we build a product together? Because we kind of have complementary skills. He's the technical co-founder. I have the marketing background. And that's kind of how our joint startup adventure began. Yeah.
What was the trigger to jump on the form builder opportunity? What was the story there?
We actually had to pivot because we started a completely different startup in travel tech. So it was a marketplace that connects travel influencers with hotels. The problem there is that we tried to launch it in the beginning of 2020 when COVID hit. So we quickly lost all our customers and we were 6 months in and decided that, we needed to do something else. And while brainstorming, forms came up. We had both used several form builders before. It is a competitive space. It was at the time and it still is. And we've used Google Forms, and you can kind of do a lot with those, but the design didn't look like we wanted. We couldn't really customize it. And then there were players like Typeform that looked great, but were really expensive, especially when you're just starting out. You're indie hackers like we were. So we thought, what if there's room for a form builder that is actually fun to use, but also budget friendly. Same time, we started using Notion, heavily inspired by them, by the interface, but also by how community backed, the product is. And we thought, they managed to make note-taking fun in the beginning. What if we can do the same to forms? Because forms, it's traditionally a very boring industry. What if we can make forms fun? And that was kind of how Tally was born.
Yes, you were part of, I would say, a trend a generation. I wrote an article once on my blog called "Building Software for the Notion Generation," and Tally was one of the tools that I featured there in the beginning. And I see that if we look back at your story on Indie Hackers, indiehackers.com, you say you're Indie Hacker. 1 year after the launch, you had already managed to reach 30K ARR. We'll speak later about the current figures that you share on LinkedIn. But that was already quite an achievement for a team of two after a year.
Yeah, it went pretty fast for Tally. That this is ARR indeed we're talking about, not MRR. But year one, I think we started building and sharing the product really fast. So Philip was building an MVP in a few months, and we were doing cold outreach just to get the first users in. And I think after 6 months or something, we launched it on Product Hunt, and then we kind of got like the product-led growth or the organic growth motion kicking in, because the biggest growth channel of Tally is the product itself. We have a very generous free tier. So since the start, we offered most of the features for free, which made new people try it out. If they created forms, obviously forms are viral by nature, so their respondents also got to see our forms and our branding, which is on the free forms. And that's how people started discovering us. So once we had like the critical mass, like we had our first, I think, 1,000 or 1,500 users, the organic growth kind of started kicking in. And from all those users, around at the time, 3% would convert to Tally Pro. And that's how we started making money.
Yeah, because it's good that you pointed out that it's ARR and not MRR. Because, I mean, when you look at the numbers today, it's 2 million ARR, correct?
Indeed, yes.
Okay,
yes,
yeah.
correct.
And I've been so accustomed to following you that I was following the MRR, and yes, this is like 30K versus 2 million today, and we're talking about. So this article published when was it published? 1 year in, so probably 21, something like that.
2021.
Yeah, July 26, 21. So we're now less than 4 years later, because it will be 4 years in 25, in July 25.
Yeah.
And you've gone from 30K ARR to 2 million ARR.
Correct.
Let it sink. I mean, that's a huge progress. And you've never ever considered raising any money. You've bootstrapped this thing all the way until today.
Yeah, we bootstrapped. We were very deliberate about that decision from the beginning. We really wanted to see, what we could build by ourselves and if we could be an independent company. And we figured if we have the complementary skills, then we should be able to do it. We also didn't necessarily wanted to have external pressure from a board. We also had 2 kids in this period, in those 4 years, and wanted to grow at our own pace. And yeah, those were the main reasons why we stayed independent. We've got lots of requests from investors, and never say never. But I think for Tally, this kind of became part of our DNA as well. That we're bootstrapped and a small team, and growing organically. So that's what we plan to do still in the future.
Because at this stage, if you ever raised any money, what would be, the number one use of this money? If there was extra money on the table, what would you do with it, for instance?
I think we waited quite long with hiring and growing the team, just because, you don't have that much budget in the start if you're bootstrapping. Also waited very long with paying ourselves a salary. But I think, obviously there's more competitors now than ever. If you want to speed up growth, marketing-wise, you want to have bigger marketing budgets. If you want to build a better product, you need more engineers. So that's probably where the money would go. But I don't think it is mandatory for us to keep up our growth that we already have right now. So I don't think we necessarily need to have, double the team size or double the marketing budgets to keep on growing.
I was trying to find on LinkedIn the graph that you share. Okay, I found it, and probably I can share this page on LinkedIn. Does it work? Yeah, that's the graph that we're talking about. So, yeah, at the bottom of this graph, on the left-hand side, that's where you were at the time of this article, and now
Yeah.
you are here. Is it still growing? I would say at an accelerating pace at the moment.
Yeah, I think we're growing 70 or 80% year over year. Obviously, the bigger the number gets, the growth percentage slows down a little bit. But yeah, we're definitely still growing at the same pace, and still organically. We've just started running experiments with paid ads actually last week. So there's lots of more room to grow.
So now I think we will dive into the product demo. That's what we are here for.
Yeah.
We will see the magic in action. So let me just stop my sharing. This is it, and I will leave you the space to share your own screen if it works, because you were on Safari and now you moved to Chrome for the demo. So
I think
yes,
this should be it.
It's working. Just tell me what I see on the screen, what we can do.
So this is Tally. This is what your Tally dashboard looks like. I think everything I'm going to show is available in our free tier. So you can, every functionality is accessible for everyone. And if you create a new form, you kind of start from a blank page. So this is how it looks like. You mentioned generation of builders for a Notion audience. So the interface might seem familiar. It doesn't look like traditional form builders where you have drag and dropping. You can basically just start typing and insert blocks as you go. So let's say we would maybe want to make a contact form, right? You can just type, use shortcuts and say something like this, my name. Or you can also use the placeholder text and then basically just build as you go. So let's say we have a short answer. We want to have a first name, a last name. I would like to know your email address. So I'll skip the questions, but just do it like this. Maybe a phone number as well. There. So this is basically how easy it is, to build the form. If you want to change the layout, you can drag inputs into columns. And just maybe to finish this one, we would have your questions. So this can be a super basic contact form that you can share for your company or embed on your website. You can super easily have a thank you page. So basically any message that people would see after they click the submit button. Let me just say, hey, thank you. And maybe you want to include the first name here to make it a bit more personal. So you could just answer pipe. So basically mention any value that would be entered in here to actually use the first name of this person. This is just a very quick demo. If you would preview your form and you submit it, then you'll see what the result is. Let me just put in a fake phone number. My test question. I'd submit the form. Yeah. This is not a valid one. Let me choose.
Maybe a Belgian one, you know it then.
The Belgian one I know.
Yeah, but don't put your own Belgian one.
There, that should work. And then you see my name is it here, for example.
Can you easily add, because I saw a thank you page, I guess maybe in the settings we'll see later, but you can add a pixel or something like that for the tracking?
You can do code injection. That would happen through a custom domain. So basically you can add any domain that you own. If you want to have, your company is called Tally, you can have forms.Tally.so. And in there you will have access to a code injection box where you can add tracking, any pixel or anything you would want to inject in there. So that's possible through the domain settings.
Okay.
This is not a free feature, but this is available to Tally Pro users. Yeah.
For those watching, the purpose of this question is because sometimes you need to put some code to to follow the conversions on Facebook or something like that. If you run it as a landing page for an ad or
Yes. Indeed. So that is possible. If you publish your form, you'll have several options. You can customize how the preview looks like. You can just share the link, but you can also embed a form. There's different options for embedding. You have a standard embed where you can just copy the code or the embed link, but also a pop-up, for example, which looks like this. You can also play around with emojis if you wanna have fun. But so all of those options are available in here.
And you offer all the different positions for the pop-ups. You can decide it's a central pop-up, a side pop-up, or something like that. Yeah. Okay.
Indeed. So if you would go for pop-up, you have center, and then it would kind of add an overlay over the entire screen. You can also choose, when to show it, show it on the right or show it in the middle. That's indeed possible. Can hide form title, align the content. Anything is possible, really.
And do you have any stats about which type of I would say presentation is the favorite one of your user? Is it like the embedding? Is it the pop-up? Is it the full page as a landing page?
So Tally Pro users usually upgrade for custom domains. So it's because you want to share the form as a standalone page, but on your own domain. But one of the more, besides that, most popular use cases is just a simple contact form. And that would usually be embedded in your own website. And then a third one would be asking for product feedback, but really feedback in the product. And there would see more the usage of the pop-up because that's easily to literally pop up within your product. So it depends a bit on the type of use case and form you create.
And you have also control on the design of the colors and all of that?
Definitely. Let me maybe show you a different example here. This one has some conditional logic that I can show in a bit. But so you can fully control the design of the form. There's themes, so those are pre-made, for example, dark or light, or you can go custom and, for example, change the button color, change the accent color. Accent color is something that you would see in here if you select a certain input that will highlight. So that's the accent color. But then you can also go more advanced and basically control the design of everything you see on the page. Can be the height, the width of the inputs, how the button is presented, how high this box should be, the background color, the text color, anything in here can be customized with these pre-built setups, or you can also inject custom CSS to go even a bit further. Anything to background of the form, it's a bit too dark, or font, border radius. Let's say you want to make those a bit more round, then you would go to round inputs instead of corners. So all of that, is possible.
And do you still remember the main evolutions of the product between the first version, which was probably much more basic than what we see, and today? What were the main stages in the evolution of the product? You would say?
Yeah, I think we kept it very simple. So the form builder has definitely changed, but probably you wouldn't really notice it. It has improved a lot, but we made a lot of minor tweaks just to improve the usability. I think something we didn't have, for example, in the beginning, if you would add a new input block, you would have questions and input blocks. That's a differentiation that we didn't have. And we noticed that some users got confused because you have the question title and then the input block, and we would leave that completely open so you could really build every piece. So we made that a bit easier to use. The advanced customization has only been launched last month, actually. This part has been there since last year, so there were less customization options. It was more straightforward, also a bit less input fields. Right now, you can choose from anything. We just had the basics when we launched. We also didn't have headings or dividers, anything like that. So those kind of came as we were building and as we got more user feedback and requests in. Collapsing the sidebar, all those things were not available in the start. So it was a more basic version indeed of what you're seeing now.
And the first version, or very early, it already had the multi-page form. So this is also something that was introduced later. Okay.
No, so that was there from the start. We always kept it super flexible, so you could just do one page or add more pages, and that was there from the very beginning. Yeah.
Yeah, because that was one of the things that made you different from, let's say, Typeform, for instance, where it was the paradigm was only multi-step multi-step questionnaires, and you wanted to have like the small ones on one page, let's say, because sometimes it makes more sense to just have everything on one page than spread it.
Indeed, we just wanted to have the flexibility and let the choice to the users. So if you want to have everything on one page, because sometimes indeed it makes more sense, then you can. If you want to have one question per page, then that's also perfectly, fine and doable with Tally. It's indeed something that Typeform really made their USP of. We kind of did the opposite thing. Like, it is super flexible. You can put 3 questions on one page and then one on the next one. All of that is kind of in the hands of the users, and that that really differentiated us as well. Yeah.
And you have also analyzed the behavior of the users to see whether they liked or preferred the one page option versus the multi-page.
Yeah, I mean, there's 2 types of users, and it again really depends on the type of form they make. So we do notice that users don't want to be forced in a certain format. Sometimes it is better to have one question per page, but sometimes it's not. Sometimes you just want to show everything, and so the respondent knows what to expect. So we have both. We hear both types of feedback. But we definitely know that the users appreciate the flexibility and that, they can choose depending on the type of form that they make. And you do see it in the form space as well. It is an evolution where everyone starts offering, this flexibility.
And did you see any competitors? I mean, we don't have to tell their names, but which have been inspired by your, let's say, reinvention of the space and who have tried to compete with you as an alternative to Typeform and the other ones?
Yeah, we've seen lots. I think there's a new one every week. I'm not exaggerating. That are heavily inspired by Tally, for sure. Especially our pricing, model. We've definitely inspired a lot of competitors there. Also, I would say attempts to copy the UX of the product. So definitely, I think by building in public as well, obviously our figures, our revenue is public, and that inspires others to try the same. Yeah, for sure.
And also something which is quite interesting with Tally is that you've been, I would say, instrumental in all this no-code scene, because your form builder has been used by a lot of indie hackers or no-code builders, connecting it to other destinations so that they can create the beginning of a product, actually, which was maybe not an expected use case in the beginning.
Yeah, the no-code space was not that big in Belgium when we launched, so we were definitely aware of the potential as well. During COVID, there was just a huge explosion in productivity space in general, and no code as well. And we definitely rode that wave. I think this was quite big in the States, also in France already. And we noticed that a lot of our first users came from the No-Code France community, for example. And they started building entire products with the tool. So we were definitely surprised by how far some users would push it. When you connect Tally with Make or Zapier to any other tool, you can build quite advanced workflows or fully fledged, just working products as well. And I don't think we really anticipated that from the beginning. It's something we saw and we saw growing as we started growing. But definitely, as the whole no-code space kind of grew, we also, grew within that, because forms, have always been kind of a no-code tools. You could call it a bit of a marketing label, maybe, but we didn't launch it as a no-code tool, but because it is a form, it is inherently, part of the no-code space, I would say.
Yeah, because you always need a form, even in the age of AI, you always need a form
Yeah.
to input data, to upload a picture or to enter some text, or for whichever use. You will always need, in a way or another, an entry point to send
Yeah.
data through the internet. So forms will always be there in one way or another, even if they are reinvented.
Indeed, yeah, like data will always need to be collected. Probably the interface will change or the way it's collected, but every business needs a form at one point.
Yeah. Maybe we'll speak about the evolution later, but it would be nice to see, as you said before, how the conditional logic is working, which is also something that no-code users are using, I guess, conditional logic.
This is a very simple example, but let's say you have a customer feedback form and you ask for a rating, right? So maybe you don't want to ask people that rate your product as really bad, like a 0 or a 1. You don't want to ask them to leave a review, but you might want to ask the people that really, or the users that really love your product. So that you can pretty easily add logic. It works the same way as inserting input blocks. You just type / and you have your conditional logic in there. And then you can say, like, okay, if the answer to this question is, let's say, more or equals to an 8, then I want to show the review question. So then I'll do show and leave a review. And so I can hide this one. And if you will then look at your form, if you'd say 1, 2, 3, nothing will happen. But once you rate it as an 8, you will get your review question that pops up. This is a pretty simple use case of conditional logic. I can show a bit more of an advanced one. In here, for example, this is an example of a booking form. So let's say you would want to use Tally, or you want to use your form to sell products. You can just have checkboxes or any other question with the product. And what we did here is actually we calculate a price. So we kind of calculate a score to be able to then, for example, sell your product. So I can quickly show you how this works. I'll just delete, well, maybe we can just start from scratch. So to do this, I would want to add a calculated field, and this would be called my price. It will be a number, can start from 0. This doesn't really matter. And then I'm going to add my logic. And basically, I want to assign a value to this price based on the product that people would choose. So when you choose Bluetooth headphones, for example, then I want to add, and in this case, it's $79.99 to the price, right? You can do the same for the other options. So we'll do the same for this one, which will be $24.99, and then I'll do the same for the last one. It should be 14, for example. And then if you want to test this, you can actually enter your field and go to preview, you'll see it'll be 0. If I choose this one, it'll be 24. If I choose this, it'll be 14. So this is a way logic can work. If you then actually want to sell this product using a Tally form, you can add a payment checkout. Works in the same way. You just type /payment. And then in here, you can choose your price. So it will dynamically update the payment form. This connects to Stripe. I already connected it here, so you can see how it looks like. And if I show it to you in preview, I made a mistake here. Yes, it's because I actually changed my calculated field here, so it's not pre-filled in here. But so it dynamically updates the price. You get the right price. You can and you can start collecting payments. So that's
here you
how
have
it
used
works.
you have used the conditional logic to calculate a checkout. It's not just the logic if this then that. It's more, let's say, a hack in a way to calculate a checkout using conditional logic.
Yeah, you can use logic to calculate stuff, but you can also use it to just skip pages. Like maybe if someone answers A instead of B, you want to go to page 8 instead of page 7.
Yeah.
All of that is a decision tree, like more like logic paths. All of that is possible once you have multiple pages in your form. You can also use it to disable the next button. Like if someone doesn't accept your terms and conditions, you just hide the next button so you cannot proceed in the form. So all those things are possible with conditional logic. Yeah.
What is nice, I think, if I compare it to other experiences I've had, is that you've put the logic in line on the page, so you don't have to switch between tabs to set the logic and see what it relates to. Because in some products, you've got a sidebar with the logic, and you do all your logic thing there, and then you've got to switch between tabs to find stuff. So but here it's all in the same environment in a way.
Yeah, indeed. So everything is on the page. You can move it around as well. So it is super flexible, but everything happens on the same screen on the page where you're working. Yeah.
We were talking about people building products with Tally. I think we had a conversation. It was probably 2 years ago, and you were a bit confused in the beginning. I remember via email when I was asking you the question, might not have been very clear, but. So we said that we use forms to capture data as inputs, but sometimes what we do is that we capture data and then we send it somewhere and it does something. And today with AI, let's say we send it to an API and then we've got an answer back. And you want to display the answer. You want to display the result of that computation. And I was asking you, I think at that point, whether you had considered adding return display fields in a way into the interface, so that when you call let's say you call an API to get some text from OpenAI, for instance, a summary or whatever, you would display it back into the same interface.
Yeah.
If it makes sense. Is it something you've had as a request, or people find the hack and do it like in two different environments? They do Tally for the capture and something else homemade to show the results.
Yeah, I think usually you see what happens is, or you show something on the thank you page, or people will use our redirect on completion, go to their environment, whatever, what page it could be, and also send data from the form through, can be URL parameters to there. So that's a way to solve it. We are working on the API right now as well, which will give it a bit more flexibility. But I don't think it is... I think what you see being requested is just showing stuff like a ticket number, or anything like that, or a booking number. I think those are features that are being requested. Yeah.
So which would require, in a way, to display something that is returned by the call into the interface.
Yeah, indeed.
That would be something, because you master so well the design it's a bit of pity if you at some point you want to get out of the environment and build your own, let's say, I don't know, Vue or React or whatever page to show it, because it kind of breaks the experience, I would say.
Indeed.
So that would be pretty cool to do that.
Something to work on.
That might be an evolution. So what
Indeed.
do we still have to show from the interface? Many things, I guess, but
there's lots of things, but maybe what we can do is show how the integrations work. So this was our simple contact form from before. If you would go to the integrations tab, you can see that you can pretty easily connect your form to, any other tool. We have some pre-built, built-in integrations like Notion, Airtable, Google Sheets, Slack, and of course Zapier and Make are some of the popular ones. But when you add it, you can also add multiple integrations per form. But if I, for example, add a Notion, I want to send all my submissions to Notion, I can pretty easily do that. I've already set one up here, but this is how the interface looks like. So you get a field where you can map your Tally field to your Notion property, and then automatically sync anything new that comes in. So if I fill out this form, then immediately the new info will show, for example, in this Notion database. The same for Google Sheets. The answer immediately pops up, and so this happens real time. What we see a lot of people using is a Slack integration as well. So you get immediately a new Slack alert if someone churns or someone leaves product feedback or anything like that. So I think that's how the integrations work. There's a lot of settings by now. We don't have to go over all of them. But sending emails, for example, if someone submits your form and you want to automatically send them an email, that's possible. You can just type, at email, and it will go to the email address that is filled in the form. Closing your form, showing custom form messages, anything like that is possible in the settings. And in the submissions, you'll see, your submissions table. And in the summary, you kind of see a summary. If you have multiple choice questions, you'll get a bit more of a visual summary of the data that you have collected. So I would say that is Tally in a nutshell.
Yeah, pretty simple. And you can use it, without integration, because you've got the submissions tab and all of that.
Yeah.
You also have the notifications. You don't need to integrate with Gmail to send the notifications.
No.
It's built in. And what's included in the free plan versus the pro plans? What's the difference between them?
Yeah. So creating a form is completely free. Everything you see here you can do. You can access all the input types, all the logic, anything like that. You can also customize your form with these settings. So you can change the theme, the font, the background, the buttons, all of that. Pro users would then have access to, for example, more advanced customization to the custom domains that we showed before. And they can also remove the Tally branding from your form. So if you're a free user, you will have a Made with Tally badge displayed in the bottom of your form. If you're a pro user, you will not have that. So that branding is disabled. In the free plan, we also have unlimited forms and submissions. So there's no volume-based pricing. You can just collect as many submissions as you need and create as many forms as well. Having teammates or anything like that is also part of the pro plan. So anything you need to create, embed, customize your form, collect submissions is available for free. Do you want to customize it more? Do you want to remove the branding? Do you want to send custom emails? Do you want to host them on your custom domain? That's part of Tally Pro.
So you have Tally Free, Tally Pro, and I see you've got Tally Business also, which is another
indeed.
level.
It's a recently new level. It doesn't have that many features yet, but the features in there are related to GDPR. So if you want to have a set customer retention period, so you want to say after X amount of days, all my submissions need to be deleted. That is possible with Tally Business. Also, if you want to have password protected forms, you can enable that as well with the business plan.
And you have also email verification when they are
Yes.
typed in. Yeah, apparently.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, very nice. I was wondering, what are the most advanced or amazing use cases you've seen for Tally? Things that blew your mind when you saw, okay, how is it even possible to do that with Tally?
There's been so many. I think, sometimes we even don't recognize that the form is Tally, when customers contact us. I think for example, Make.com is using Tally and has pretty advanced use cases. Their whole customer support system is built based on a Tally form that has tons of conditional logic, and that guides users from bug reports or support requests to the right answer before they actually reach the support team. There's tons of workflows and customizations happening in the back by using Tally and Make. So I think that one was a pretty incredible one. We've had Notion in the past using Tally for their certification programs, where whenever you would want to apply to become Notion certified, a whole trigger of events using Zapier would set off to guide you through the right steps, get the right emails, get approved, and so on. So pretty advanced stuff. Calculators, calculating prices of solar panels, anything really. It's so flexible, and any business in any industry kind of uses forms and uses Tally. So we see a lot of things passing by. Yeah.
Yes, for the calculators, it can also be something you use for lead generation, for instance. You provide a calculator, yes, and then you capture the email after or before you give the result, gating the result, for instance. That's something you can do, I guess.
Definitely. Also quizzes. Any lead generation use cases is pretty common with Tally, and where you can also, for example, offer a course or a link to an online PDF on your thank you page, so you only get it, it's gated, you only get it when you leave your contact details, signing up for newsletters, but as well job applications, by HR teams, finding new colleagues. All those use cases are pretty common.
I was wondering, how would you see the arbitrage that some people can have between two choices, one being using Tally and the other one being building their own forms? So what is the justification you think for using Tally versus your own solution, homemade solution?
I think because Tally is so flexible and easily customizable, it doesn't really make sense to invest time in building your own form solution. It's just plug and play and you can go. I think an evolution we see a lot is that especially marketing product teams don't want to rely on engineers, to have their form and to start their campaigns. They just want a no-code out-of-the-box solution that integrates and embeds really well with their own branding and their own web page. So it just kind of makes more sense to use, because it's free as well, something that is already out there, and let engineers focus on, more advanced custom-built product work. And then building your own form. So that's usually the motivation that we hear from customers. Yeah.
And for the people who are anxious in front of a blank page, you have templates.
Yeah, there's tons of templates made by us, but also by the community. So if you don't want to start from scratch, which obviously some people don't like, you can choose one of the templates and just build from there. So you don't have to start from scratch.
And I'm curious, do you track starting from scratch versus template? What's the behavior of people usually? The template?
No, actually, I think people still start from scratch more often. And the templates in our gallery, they're ordered by number of downloads, popularity indeed. But not everyone uses a template for sure. So it proves to us as well that the builder is pretty intuitive and people find their way. Yeah.
Could you show me the template gallery?
Yes.
If it's maybe you need to log out. I don't know.
No, I can show you. This is the gallery.
Okay, so that would be the popularity ranking. So registration form 1, then contact form. Okay.
Obviously, some have been there. Some are more new, so have less downloads. These are the ones that have been there from the start. But you can filter on use case or audience, and pick one, and really easily start from there.
And can you, in your conditional logic, when you, let's say, answer something, show an image or something that's the result that you want to show? Let's say an animated GIF after an answer or something like that.
Yeah. So let's say you let's do something like this. So let's say apple, banana, pear. Let me think. Choose a fruit. Let's do something like this. And then you would want to insert an image. Let me do this, for example. So this would be your image. You can hide the image, and then if someone, for example, would choose banana,
I would show the image.
I want to show it, and then you can show it. Yeah, so that's possible. Yeah.
Very nice. Yeah, it's nice for a gamified experience, and you can also probably set in the background for a quiz like a score for an answer, and then compute the scores and
we have some templates for that, because it can get pretty advanced there with logic, where you basically you can actually show you. I can choose this one, for example. So this is a personality quiz. It has all kinds of calculated fields, but in the end, based on your score, so you can see there's quite some logic in here, you would get a personality assigned. So, based on your score, you would go to or this thank you page or this one or this one. And that's kind of how the result can be dynamic, based on the answers. Yeah.
That's also a good example for the question I asked earlier about what is the motivation to use this versus building it yourself. I mean, it's not that easy to come up with the logic, just the logic, not only the code, but just how does it work in a way to provide something like that. So that's a good example.
Yeah, totally. It gets pretty advanced, and there's a lot of things that are built in. So if you have to start building it from scratch, it might take you a while.
So these days, everyone wants to sprinkle some AI into their products. So what is the brainstorming of Tally about AI? I mean, you don't need to put AI to attract investors because you already get calls just with the numbers. But if you were to use AI, what would it be for in your product?
Yeah, I think there's lots of potential. We've been using it more internally right now, just to especially for coding and optimizing customer support. But I feel like what would make sense for us is everything that lies in analyzing answers. So, for example, you have long answers, right? Give a summary of the most important things that are being said there. That is one thing that we see. Also, having an AI assistant that can help you build the product, because as you can see, there's a lot of logic. So what if you could just type, hey, build me this type of form, and it's being done for you? That can be pretty powerful. There's a lot of use cases, things we're considering, but we're not indeed just implementing for the sake of having an AI form builder, trying to think it through before we start building. Yeah.
Yes. I mean, it's true that you have, I guess, your own framework, your own logic to build those forms. So you could have a co-pilot that would be very effective because it would be trained to just render forms in the Tally way, in a way. So
Yeah.
that would be that's what we
Indeed.
saw with Drupal. Previous episode was with someone in charge of AI at Drupal, and they use AI to create new custom fields in Drupal
Okay.
and this type of things. But it's not a coding assistant for everything. It's an assistant to create Drupal architectures. So that's
Yeah.
probably the way companies like you will use it, and indeed all the summarization, sentiment analysis, all of that would make sense, I guess.
Yeah, that can be really powerful. I mean, also the creation of, you see a lot of people like, I want to create an onboarding survey, like which questions should I use? And then like, go to ChatGPT, copy the questions into Tally. If you can have that built in, that can definitely add value. Yeah.
And this part is also not too expensive. I mean, you have two options. You can either buy wholesale and sell retail the tokens, or you can even bring your own API key. That's another option. If you can, you can invite people to bring their OpenAI or their Cloud API key and use them. And you were saying that you're using also AI internally for coding. Is it like a daily practice now to use, let's say, Cloud Sonnet or something like that?
Yeah, I think Cursor is, pretty built in the way the engineers work. I think CodeRabbit is the last new one. So definitely, I mean, it helps you code faster, right? So why not use it? I think for marketing, for example, as well, anything that goes from copywriting to editing videos, all of that is done by the use of AI tools, and that helps us to do more with a super small team.
What is the structure of your team today? 5 people?
Yeah. So it's me and Philip, the co-founders, and then 2 more engineers and 1 customer support agent.
Okay, 2 more engineers. And have you seen, I would say, an improvement in the quality of time management with three more people, or is it you have more work, so you needed those 3 people?
We definitely needed them. They've only started, so the second engineer started only last week, and the first engineer started this summer. So it hasn't been that long, but it definitely helped us to find our shipping speed again. Because with just having 1 engineer and a customer base of 500,000 people, it was getting really difficult to ship and improve the product. A lot of times was spent on support and bug fixing. So that's why, we really needed a couple of more engineers in the team and someone to own customer support as well. So we can actually focus on, building, designing, and growing the product. Yeah.
And the engineers, Philippe and the 2 other ones, they're all full stack, or so they're all capable of handling both the back end and the front end.
Yeah, okay. Indeed. Everyone is full stack for now. Yeah.
What is the basic stack that you're using? Is it React or Next for the front end?
Indeed, it's React Next.js for the front end, and the back end. Not super technical. We use Google Cloud for hosting, and I can look it up. I can share the other things that we use, but it's React indeed. Yeah,
probably one of the three potential choices for the backend. What is the kind of customer support pressure that you have with 500,000 users?
It's between 100 and 200 tickets a week that we get. We do document a lot in our help center, and we try to keep the product as simple as possible, just to make sure that we reduce customer support. So that's something we really focus on. And we have one person handling support full time, and then 2 people that are jump in a few hours a week, basically to help if any tickets would come in during the night when we sleep. So they're based in different time zones, and they kind of complement us, when we're not around.
What's the type of pattern that you've seen in customer support over the years? The number one request, how can I reset my password or?
No, I mean, a lot of things are feature requests, which we also capture with Canny. And then it very often relates to integrations. So often we need to, the support request is not always for us, but probably for the other tool. People integrate, things go wrong. So integrations are definitely a big one. And logic as well. We're trying to make it as user-friendly as possible. But sometimes users can get stuck with calculating the right price or value. So I think logic and integrations are definitely common ones. Probably the most common ones. And then obviously you have, features that we just don't have. And that kind of results in feature requests. And those can be upvoted on our public feedback board.
What are the next 3 ones on the roadmap that we could talk about, the feature that will be launched in the near future?
I can show them. I don't know if they're public yet, but yeah, we're working on the API, so that's in private beta right now and ongoing. And we just shipped a lot of customization features, so those are live now. And then turning a block into a different block. That's something that wasn't possible yet, but that will be possible right now as well. So you can change your question types, change your headings, making it a bit more flexible and easier to use. And for after that I cannot share yet, but it should be announced pretty soon.
What are the features that will be available in the developer API? So what will be useful? More for getting data that was captured, or to create the forms with an API?
Yeah, we actually can access it on this page. We're talking to the users also to see what the requests will be, but these are kind of the use cases: listing forms, creating a form, updating them, or automatically deleting them. Those are the more common use cases that we see.
So creating a form via the API on the fly. Okay.
Yes. Yeah, that will be possible.
And how would you see it? I mean, in which scenario would it make sense to create a form without the UI?
We have, customers that have done hundreds of thousands of forms and then want to build them programmatically, based on the data that they have. So it's mostly about volume there. Same with updating forms. Something that we see is you have a drop down, for example, with some kind of inventory, and you want to dynamically update that. That's something that is not possible now, but will be possible through the use of the API. So you can actually, some product is not in stock anymore, then it will also not be available anymore in your form.
So you could even think about some kind of AI agent POC, creating a form via the API from an agent in a way. That would be possible once the API is fully rolled out. Yeah.
I think that will be possible, yeah.
Yeah, that would be cool to test, to see if we can, with a voice prompt, create a new a new form.
Yeah, let me know. Let me know if you try it out.
Yeah, I think I would try that with NA10. Are you integrated with NA10 natively?
Not natively yet, but it has been requested. So that will probably be something that we will implement.
Yeah, that's probably one of the coolest ones at the moment. I mean, they really found their way with the AI agent module. Now, maybe you see on LinkedIn, but a lot of people are creating now those workflows which integrate this little LangChain AI agent module. So yeah, that's a cool
Yeah,
one.
and we're seeing a bit of an increase in upvotes there as well, or requests. So that will probably be an integration that will be added. Yeah.
I think we covered a lot in the podcast. Maybe what we can end with is um, which tip you would have for aspiring entrepreneurs, for young entrepreneurs who consider being bootstrapped indie hackers. Your life configuration is also interesting because you're partners in business, partners in life, with kids. So it shows it's possible with a family to be a startup entrepreneur. So yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend it. Doing it with a family and young kids is definitely not an advantage. But yeah, I think if you want to bootstrap, some important things are, try to start as a side project, try to see if your idea sticks, try to get some paying customers before you make the jump, because you obviously need to have enough money to last for a while, before your product becomes profitable. I think for us it was about a year of runway that we had saved up, and that we gave ourselves, to build something that people want to use or that has some kind of product market fit. So I think that's definitely something I would recommend before you make the jump. And for us, it's just been trying out a lot of stuff and showing up every day. Like there's tons of ideas. I think ideas are cheap, but the power lies in the execution. And if you show up every day and you keep on trying, then at one point, you'll build something that works. And for us, it was really by talking to users all the time. I know it's a cliche, but that's how we got our first users, our most passionate users and promoters. And that's also how we learned, what was important in the product. So just by asking and by collecting feedback. I would also probably, something we maybe waited a bit too long with is to ask for advice and follow people that are just a few steps ahead, not someone that is years ahead, but someone that is still pretty close to your environment, but is a few steps ahead. And usually they are very willing to give you advice or feedback. We've done that with founders that we follow on Twitter, on Reddit, anywhere, LinkedIn now most of the time. So you can ask, and every problem you have probably has been solved by a lot of people already in the past. So if you're open to feedback, then I think you can get pretty far.
Yeah, you don't have to be shy, not to be afraid of asking. Usually people are willing to give you the answer, to give you something.
Totally.
Thank you so much for your time. I mean, I love the product. I love the journey also, everything you have achieved so
Thank
far.
you.
So I think it's still the beginning. I mean, it's just four and a half years in. So you're just at the beginning of the journey, and I'm pretty sure you will also surf the wave and the evolution with your users to keep on also evolving in the future. So where can we find you on LinkedIn?
Yep. So it's Tally.so. We're on LinkedIn. For myself, that's Marie Martens. It's also at Marie Martens on Twitter. So it's mostly Twitter and LinkedIn. And we're building in public. So most of our posts are on blog.tally.so.
Thank you so much. And I invite everyone to try the product. I will leave a link in the comments below. And just stay tuned for the next episodes of Show Me the Magic. If you have any startup that you want to recommend, also you, Marie, if you think about any startup, just send me a direct message and I will be more than happy to have them on the podcast. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.